Throughout history, ruthless leaders have shaped nations through fear, power, and bloodshed. 2. Some were seen as visionaries, while others were feared as tyrants. 1. Their methods were often merciless, leaving behind a legacy of destruction and control. 1. From mass executions to psychological terror, these leaders stopped at nothing to maintain dominance. In this video, we uncover 20 of the most ruthless leaders in history and the brutal tactics they used to rule. 1. Stay tuned. You won't believe the extremes some went to in their pursuit of power. 1. Genghis Khan, 1162-1227, Mongolia. Brutality. Genghis Khan's conquests led to the deaths of an estimated 40 million people, wiping out nearly 11% of the world's population at the time. Entire cities that resisted him were slaughtered, men, women, and children. 3. Notorious habit. He used psychological warfare, terrorizing enemies by catapulting severed heads into cities and massacring populations to prevent future uprisings. 2. Vlad the Impaler, 1431-1476, Wallachia. Brutality. Known for impaling his enemies alive, Vlad had an estimated 20,000 to 80,000 victims, including entire villages of men, women, and children. 2. Notorious habit. After defeating the Ottoman army, he left a forest of impaled bodies outside his castle to deter invaders. 3. Ivan the Terrible, 1530 to 1584, Russia. 1. Brutality. Executed thousands, including entire families, and killed his own son in a fit of rage. His secret police, the Oprichnina, carried out brutal massacres. 1. Notorious habit. Personally tortured and dismembered his enemies while laughing, showing no remorse for his cruelty. 4. Maximilien Robespierre, 1758-1795, France. 1. Brutality. Led the reign of terror, where over 16,000 people were guillotined in just 1 year. Many were innocent civilians accused of treason. 1. Notorious habit. He justified mass executions as necessary for a pure revolution, sentencing even his closest allies to death. Napoleon Bonaparte, 1769-1821, France. 1. Brutality. His military campaigns cost the lives of over 3.5 million people, including his own soldiers, whom he frequently abandoned in harsh conditions. 1. Notorious habit. Considered his soldiers as expendable, often ordering them to charge into hopeless battles to gain minor advantages. 6. King Leopold II, 1835-1909, Belgium. 1. Brutality. His rule over the Congo led to the deaths of 10 million Africans through forced labor, starvation, and disease. 1. Notorious habit. Enforced severed hands as punishment. If workers didn't meet rubber quotas, their hands were cut off as proof of discipline. 7. Joseph Stalin, 1878-1953, Soviet Union. 1. Brutality. Killed over 20 million people, including political purges, forced labor camps, gulags, and engineered famines like the Holodomor, where millions starved. 1. Notorious habit. Had trusted allies executed overnight, rewriting history to erase their existence. 8. Adolf Hitler, 1889-1945, Germany. 1. Brutality. Led the Holocaust, which resulted in the systematic extermination of over 6 million Jews and millions of others in concentration camps. 1. Notorious habit. Promoted scientific experiments on prisoners, including freezing people alive and testing poison gases. 9. Benito Mussolini, 1883-1945, Italy. 1. Brutality. Led a fascist dictatorship that saw mass executions and brutal suppression of political opponents. 1. Notorious habit. Used public assassinations to send a message to anyone considering resistance. 10. Francisco Franco, 1892 to 1975, Spain. 1. Brutality ordered the execution of 200,000 political dissidents, including mass purges and imprisonments. 1. Notorious habit kept an iron grip on Spain for nearly 40 years, ensuring opposition had no chance to rise. 11. Mao Zedong, 1893-1976, China. 1. Brutality. His great leap forward caused a famine that killed over 45 million people, many due to forced starvation. 1. Notorious habit encouraged mass public humiliation, torture, and executions of intellectuals and rivals. 12. Pol Pot, 925-98, Cambodia. 1. Brutality. His regime executed 2 million Cambodians, a quarter of the population, through starvation, forced labor, and executions. 1. Notorious habit declared anyone who wore glasses or spoke a foreign language an enemy of the state. 13. Kim Il-sung, 1912-94, North Korea. 1. Brutality created a regime of forced labor camps, starvation, and mass executions, which continue today. 1. Notorious habit developed a godlike cult, making his people worship him as a deity. 14. Idi Amin, 1925-2003, Uganda. 1. Brutality killed over 300,000 Ugandans, often having bodies dumped into rivers. 1. Notorious habit kept severed heads of his victims in a freezer as trophies. 15. Saddam Hussein, 37-2006, Iraq. 1. Brutality used chemical weapons on civilians and tortured prisoners in horrific ways. 1. Notorious habit forced dissidents to watch their own families be executed. 16. Muammar Gaddafi in 42-2011, Libya. 1. Brutality ordered public hangings and mass killings of those who opposed him. 1. Notorious habit kept an all-female personal guard, some of whom were sexually abused. 17. Bashar al-Assad, 1965, President in Syria. 1. Brutality used chemical weapons against civilians, leading to tens of thousands of deaths. 1. Notorious habit tortured opposition members in underground prisons, with many never seen again. 18. Augusto Pinochet, 2006, Chile. 1. Brutality, 30,000 plus people disappeared, many of whom were thrown from helicopters into the ocean. 1. Notorious habit used secret torture chambers where people were electrocuted and mutilated. 19. Robert Mugabe in 2019, Zimbabwe. 1. Brutality starved entire regions and ordered mass political killings. 1. Notorious habit used land seizures, forcing millions into poverty while he lived in luxury. 20. Slobodan Milošević, 2006, Serbia, Yugoslavia. 1. Brutality led ethnic cleansing campaigns that killed hundreds of thousands in the Balkans conflict. 1. Notorious habit used rape as a weapon of war, targeting entire ethnic groups. 1. History has seen the rise and fall of ruthless leaders whose legacies are built on blood, fear, and oppression. 1. Power, when unchecked, often leads to unimaginable brutality and suffering. 1. Were these leaders a product of their time, or is ruthlessness a necessary evil for power? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video intriguing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more dark historical insights. 3. Coming up next, the secret societies that shaped history from the shadows. Stay tuned.